Hey everyone, Disware here, and in this short video I wanted to show you how terrain affects your hero's movement and what you can do to maximize it. But you may be wondering, why should I even bother with this kind of optimizations? I can always just hit the end turn button and my hero will be at full movement again. This approach is fine for a chill out kind of game, especially on lower AI difficulties, but if you are playing on higher difficulty settings or in PvP, you will need to gain every possible edge, or otherwise you will start falling behind and eventually just lose the game. So let's get back to the main topic of the video, cost of movement on the adventure map. At the start of each turn, your hero will have, or your base hero will have up to 200 movement points available to them. You can find these details in this yellowish indicator near the portrait of your hero or in the details over here. Our heroes can move horizontally, vertically, and diagonally, and the game allows you to see the movement point costs by pressing and holding the Alt button. The dimmed out indicator shows you the cost of movement, and the brighter one shows you how much will remain. You see, like so. Our main hero is Vesper, and he belongs to the Temple faction. As you can see, he can travel without any penalties. Movement over vertical and horizontal movement only costs him 10 points, and diagonal movement costs him 14. And this is because grassland is the native terrain for temple heroes. Now, if we try the same with Motley, who is a dungeon hero, a warlock, you will notice horizontal movement and vertical movement costs 14 movement points and diagonal costs 19. This is significantly more. It means Motley will be far less efficient moving over grasslands here. Now, is there any way for us to get rid of these penalties for Motley? And yes, the easiest way is to give her only temple troops. Now that she only has crossbowmen, swordsmen, and griffins in her army, no more penalties. 10 points per vertical and horizontal, 14 for diagonal moves. Pretty cool, pretty cool. But what about Vesper? He now has a non-native unit in his army. Will he face any penalties? Let's check it out. Nope, no penalties for him. 10 movements for lateral movements and 14 for diagonal. A call out for all the Heroes 3 fans out there, this mechanics is different compared to Heroes 3, where only the units that you were carrying affected the penalties. Now, the hero is a decisive factor in addition to the army. However, I want Motley to be more efficient. I want her to be able to move with Onyx Dancers over grassland terrain without any penalties. Is there anything I can do? Yep, there is a way which may be available to you in the early game with a relatively high level of probability. That is, if you get a Schism hero in your tavern at the beginning of the turn, or at the beginning of the week, of course, or if you release a hero from prison who is from the Schism faction and carries these super cool units called Agashoth Riders with their amazing plows through ability, which removes all terrain penalties when in a hero's army. Let's see what happens if I transition those guys to Motley. Yep, it works exactly as the tip said. No penalties for Motley, even though she has Onyx Dancers and Agashoth Riders who are non-native to grasslands. The next aspect that we want to talk about is movement over roads. Sister Kyrie carries non-native units right now. However, if we look at the rate of travel over road, it's only 8 points when moving vertically, and only 11 points when moving diagonally. Movement over the roads is optimal regardless of the faction of your hero or of the troops. It's always maximized for your units. So Vesper also moves at a rate of 8 movement points per move here. However, this can be increased even further by leveraging so-called logistics experts or specialists like Ister. In their specialty description, you can notice that they move significantly more efficiently on roads, and that's absolutely true. -7 points only for vertical movements and 9 points for diagonal ones. Check it out. Yeah, 9 for diagonal and 7 for vertical. Pretty cool. There are a few other options for avoiding movement penalties, some of which are more situational and some of which will only be available towards the end game. If you're lucky, you can get yourself the Swamp Boots artifact or even the Wanderer's Way set, which remove terrain penalties completely. And if your hero has the Scouting or Logistics skill, you can get sub-skills for 50% penalty reduction. You can also get a spell called Shadow Flight, which on higher levels will improve the cost efficiency of your movement by up to 40%, and I will cover this spell in more detail in one of the following videos. We're almost ready to wrap up, but before we do that, a couple more callouts about the differences between Olden Era and Heroes 3. Number 1. The speed of your units does not affect the number of movement points that your hero gets at the start of each turn. No matter if you have only swordsmen in your army, like let's say Ister only had swordsmen, which is a relatively slow unit with speed 3, or if Ister had like dragons, angels, whatever, does not matter. The speed of the units will not affect how many movement points you will have at the start of each turn. It will always be 200 for a base hero and, well, some more for depending on other modifiers that I will talk about in the following videos. Number 2. Interacting with objects and heroes on the adventure map does not cost you anything. This is, in my opinion, a great change compared to Heroes 3 because, well, I personally was always misclicking, misplaying, and losing movement points when I didn't have to. So let's see. Right now, Ister only has 198 movement points remaining. If he interacts with Sister Kyrie, let's say swaps the army, still 198 movement points left, nothing lost. If Ister moves towards this beer fountain for luck increase, let's check out. 170 movements left. I interact with a beer fountain and still 170 movement points left. I want to pick up a chest. Had 132 movement points. Picked it up. Still 132 movement points. Nothing changed. And this is significantly different compared to Heroes 3. This mechanics actually allows us to use or abuse the game slightly. Let's say you have two heroes side by side with each other. Let's see. So I have Motley here and Ister here. And, well, Ister is not a great example. Let's take a non-native hero, Sister Kyrie. Okay, now they are sitting side by side with Motley. And we have troops from both the dungeon faction and from the temple faction in our armies. And I want to move the whole army as far as I can. What I can do is I can start moving with Sister Kyrie first, because she moves without any penalties, only 10 movement points left. Now, since I can interact with the other hero without any cost, I can move the Griffins all the way to Motley, and now Motley can move without any terrain penalties. Do this little dance back and forth, and our heroes are able to travel much further in a single turn. It is situational, but it's worth knowing about this. So that's pretty much wraps up this video, and in the following videos in the series I will cover how your hero can increase their movement point budget, how they can use control spells to travel even further, and how we can use hero chains to achieve even more during a single turn. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe. Thanks again.